He stared at the sea like it was his mortal enemy. They called him Ayoob the Mad, a man who lost his ship, his crew, and his sanity chasing a giant white whale. But what they didn't know was that this ghost was real, a silent terror draining the kingdom's trade routes, one ship at a time. This is the story of a man accused of madness, whose lonely war was, in truth, a desperate battle for justice. Before the whispers of insanity clung to his name, Captain Ayoob was a legend of the harbour. He was a master mariner who spoke the language of the waves and could read the secrets of the wind. His merchant ship, Olamana, meaning the trust, was his home, and his crew, his family. For 30 years he sailed the seas, and the only losses he suffered were those the ocean claimed as its natural due. Then came that cursed day. Deep in the Pacific, the water was as calm and clear as glass. Suddenly, beside the ship, a creature rose from the depths. It wasn't just a whale. It was a mountain of ghostly white flesh, its skin a roadmap of old scars from forgotten wars. Its eye, small and cold, glinted with an ancient, intelligent hatred. The attack wasn't an accident. It was calculated. The white whale rammed the ship's hull with terrifying force, making Olamana shudder like a toy. It dove, struck the rudder, and shattered it with a single powerful swing of its tail. The ship was crippled, left spinning helplessly in the water. Ayoob and his men watched in horror as the beast circled them, like a predator choosing its next strike. Then it attacked again, piercing the wooden hull. Water flooded in. The end had come. Clinging to a piece of wreckage, Ayoob was the only survivor. He watched as his ship, his home, his family sank into the abyss. Days later, a passing vessel rescued him. He returned to port a broken man, carrying a story no one could believe. In the Merchants' Guild Hall, Ayoob spoke of the white whale, its cunning, its deliberate assault. But the traders, led by the guildmaster Rizk, a man who only trusted numbers, looked at him with scorn. One merchant laughed, "A whale attacking a ship like that. The sun has fried your brain." Ayoob Rizk's voice was cold as ice. "The more likely story is that you misnavigated and hit an uncharted reef. This whale tale is just a desperate excuse for your negligence that killed your entire crew." They stripped him of his title. The hero of the harbour became its outcast. But Ayoob couldn't forget. This wasn't about revenge. It was about a burden. He had seen the true danger, and as long as that whale lived, no ship would ever be safe. He sold everything he owned and bought an old, battered whaling boat. He tried to gather a crew, but no one dared sail with the mad captain. Only a few desperate men answered his call, and among them one man unlike the rest, Yazin, a young scholar fascinated by maritime legends. He heard Ayoob's story and saw not madness, but a terrifying truth. He joined the crew not as a sailor, but as a chronicler to document this impossible voyage. They set sail, and Ayoob's long, lonely hunt began. Meanwhile, back in the harbour, Rizk's neat theories started to fall apart. Merchant ships began to vanish. First, one every 2 months, then one each month. Always in calm weather, on clear seas, without a single trace. Risk blamed pirates, sudden storms anything but the disturbing truth he refused to face. On Ayoub's vessel, Yazin was more than just an observer. He gathered data, drew maps, and marked the site of every disappearance. A chilling pattern emerged. Every disaster occurred along the same wide sea corridor. It was the feeding ground of the white whale. After months of relentless searching, they finally found it. The beast surfaced, larger and more terrifying than Ayoob remembered. The battle began. Ayoob was no longer a madman screaming at ghosts. He was a brilliant captain, maneuvering his small boat against a colossal force of nature. It was a duel between a man's mind and a monster's raw power. But Ayoob hurled his first harpoon, and it struck the whale's flank. The creature dove in a fury, ramming the boat from below and breaking part of the rudder. Amid the chaos, a merchant ship appeared on the horizon. Its crew watched in stunned silence, witnessing the impossible. The massive white whale attacking a tiny boat with deliberate, terrifying fury. It was the proof the world needed. Summoning the last of his strength, Ayoob stood at the bow of his swaying vessel, waiting for the perfect moment. As the whale lunged for its final fatal strike, he threw his harpoon with every fiber of his being. It drove deep, just behind the monster's eye. The whale let out a dreadful, soul-shaking cry, then slowly tilted and sank into the abyss for the last time. The merchant ship rescued Ayoob and his crew. They returned to port not as outcasts, but as heroes. The captain's testimony, backed by Yasin's meticulous maps and research, revealed the full, shocking truth. Risk and the merchant stood in shame before the man they had ridiculed. Ayoob the Mad was gone. In his place stood Ayoob, the guardian of the sea. He didn't celebrate his victory. It was a triumph that had cost him everything. He simply stood at the pier, gazing at the now calm sea. His war was finally over. He had proven that sometimes the world calls a man mad simply because he fights a monster they cannot see, and that sometimes what they call madness is just another name for truth and courage. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more tales of unsung heroes. We'll see you in the next one.